Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to show you how to create your own UI library using JSrepo. So I already have this project scaffolded out for us. In this case, we're just going to try to get this star button exported out of the registry. And you can see kind of how this star button looks here, right? It's just our star and GitHub button, changes colors, all that. We're using some other components as well. So it's importing from button, this other utility that we have here, and then also icons. So let's go ahead and get this set up. And a quick refresher, if you're not familiar, the way JSrepo expects you to structure your project is that you have categories and then blocks. And then a block can be either a folder or a file. So in this case, it's folders, and our category is UI, right? So it's going to show up as UI star button. Or in here, we have utils or utils format number, right? So let's go ahead and set this up. So we're going to go ahead and run jsrepo init registry. And it's going to ask us where our blocks are located. So what it's wanting is the path to where our categories are located, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say source lib components is the containing directory for our category UI, and then source lib is the containing directory for utils. So let's go ahead and do UI first, source lib components. Oh, I screwed that up. Let's do that again. Source lib components. Let's do another one. And we're going to do source lib for utils. We're going to say no, no. We're going to go ahead and create that build config. And now it's going to tell us we can just go ahead and run build registry. So let's go ahead and do that. Build registry. And it's completed with a few warnings. So it says it skipped this directory because subdirectories are not currently supported. So basically what it's telling you is that because you have this lib directory that we're including with for utils as our category, because components is here and it doesn't have any blocks in it, it's skipping that directory. So to easily get rid of that warning, we could just go into our build config. Oh, pressing all the wrong buttons. And for exclude categories, we could just go into here and we could say components. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and include categories, and I'm only going to include the ones I want. So that's utils, and that is UI. So now if we rebuild, you'll see that we lost those warnings, and now all we have is this other warning that we originally had. And it says that UI icons depends on Svelte, causing it to be installed when added. And it says no framework dependency. So basically what this is trying to say is that when we add UI icons, it's going to install Svelte on the user's computer, and that's probably not what we want. So you can see where it's actually coming from is in icons index. We're importing from Svelte elements. And because it's importing from a TypeScript file, JSrepo has no way of knowing that Svelte should just be ignored. In the .svelte files, you'll notice like in star button, we also import from Svelte, but this dependency is automatically dropped because most of the time, if you're using Svelte in your project, you have Svelte, or if you're using .svelte files in your project, you have Svelte installed in your project, right? So there's no need to install it. But for the .typescript files, this may be like a reference to the Svelte compiler. We don't really know, right? So we go ahead and just make it so that we warn you, and then you'll need to ignore it on your own. So what we can do in here is we go into exclude deps, and then we add Svelte. And if we rerun that, there you go. So if you're a React user, you're going to have to put React in here next, or whatever React based framework, whatever JSX based framework, because JSrepo doesn't automatically exclude any of those since it's not exactly clear what you're using, right? So next, let's go ahead and look at the preview of this. So for this, let's go ahead and turn on preview in here. So there's this preview key, and this is going to allow us to see what the users see when they add blocks. And let's go ahead and run build. And now we get this nice little preview of what our list is going to look like. So we have button, icons, light switch, star button, format number, and utils. But if you remember at the beginning of the video, all we really want to see is star button. So to do that, we could do that a couple ways. We could either use just this list blocks thing, or we could use the do not list blocks. But let's just go the short route and let's do list blocks and let's just say star button, not star button, star button. And now if we go here, you'll see that star button is the only one included. But now we have this other warning. So it says UI light switch is unused and will be removed. And then the error is no unused block. So basically what it's saying is that since light switch isn't listed and it's also not used as a dependency of what is listed, which is star button, it's going to go ahead and be pruned from that manifest file. So if we look in our manifest file, you'll see that we can look down and there's button, icons, star button, but there's no light switch, right? So it was actually taken out to save space so that when we fetch everything, we don't fetch stuff that we don't need, right? So the way we can kind of get rid of that warning if we don't want to see it anymore, this warning right here, is we can go in here to rules, and then under no unused block, we could say off, and we can run it again, and you'll see we got rid of that warning. That's one I generally like to leave on because I want to know what's going to be included in my project, what's not going to be included in my project when I'm publishing it, right? You do have some other ones here for some other kind of common pitfalls that we see. No unpinned dependency is really nice if you forgot to install your dependencies and they're not in your package JSON. Maximum local dependencies. This is good for trying to limit how many things the user is installing for a single block because sometimes it can take a while if it's fetching a bunch of stuff, right? We also have some no circular dependency, no framework dependency. We already looked at that one. Require local dependency exists. That one's always an error. You always want that one on, right? So now that we have this working pretty much how we want to, let's go ahead and publish it so that you can see exactly how it works. So we're going to say add jsrepo. We're just going to commit that to our repository. And let's go ahead and clear that out. We'll do jsrepo. We'll just add it right back here. jsrepo add github idle jsrepo ui. That's not correct. I need to say -- repo. We're going to continue and we're going to say yes. And now you can see we just see star button. And if I press that, it's going to ask us where to put it. We'll say lib utils. That's fine. You can tell I've already done this. Select all those options. And it went ahead and installed all those dependencies for me. So now if I look in that lib directory, there's everything I need for my star button, right? Cool. So I wanted to show off just a couple more things that you might run into. So for instance, if I was to move this format number outside of one of the directories that's built, it went ahead and updated our imports in here, right? So it's just lib format number. But if I go to build, let's go back here, npm run build registry, if I can type, and you'll see you get this error. Star button depends on local dependency format index, which doesn't require or which doesn't exist. So it's doing its best to try to resolve this, but it's just not able to because it's not within those directories. So if you see that, make sure that your file that you're referencing is in one of these directories that's built by jsrepo. So obviously moving that back, we shouldn't have any problem building once again, right? So hopefully this was helpful. I can't wait to see what you guys build with this. I'm already seeing some pretty cool things pop up. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and thanks.